Engineer Prakash, sir, you can start off.
Sir, we another 3 more minutes. We'll... Yeah.
Because 43, yeah, because some of them are joining through Facebook also.
Yeah.
Because many of them, it's convenient for them to join through Facebook because of the.
Suraj, is it possible for you to know how many people are joined in Facebook?
Now 43 participants have joined.
Oh, okay.
Can I request the panelists to mute your mic when you are not talking, please, so that we can give a better experience to the participants? Thank you.
When we are not speaking, we will mute. No problem, Suraj. As of now, we are all speaking now. So 48 of them have joined. I think we had the first series of seminars on geotechnical engineering. That was during the month of May.
Yeah. 6,000 plus.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of inputs were there during those 3 or 4 days seminars, I believe. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. It was all the beginning of the webinar era. So everybody was also very eager and curious to know. Now, Dr. Amarnath says he is there on the webinar, just about 2 of them every day.
Okay.
I think by 3:10 we should have quite a number of people.
Yeah, I think, now 56 have joined. I think you can start up, sir, because it's 3 now already.
Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah, can we, sir, Dr. Amarnath, can you start up?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Prakash, sir, you can start.
Yeah. The whole process takes about 10 minutes. And then I think thoughts will join. Namaste and good afternoon to you, everybody. And very hearty welcome to you all. Thanks to the technology, the distance is not a problem at all nowadays. So IT has brought us all together. And in Anil's words, I should say they're bonding us very well. So, while talking about technology, all of us will remember us as MP, especially the civil engineers. He is a person who has changed a lot of life around, many of them. And I don't think I'll be wrong if I say our true green revolution started with him. With all the dams and the irrigation dams, the canals, everything that he designed. The true green revolution started from him. And of course, the industrialization too. On this auspicious day, and we are dedicating this lecture to Sir MV now, and let's all pay our homage to wherever we are, to him from wherever we are, wherever we are sitting, and to his great soul. We all owe a lot to this great person and the engineer in him. So with that note to homage to Sir MV, I would like to heartily welcome Dr. Amarnath, who has accepted our request to conduct this workshop on BIM. Thank you very much, sir. It's been a wonderful interaction with you in the past few days. And we will know about you and us offline also, not only in the profession. It will be good to know you. And thanks to our friend Niranjan Simha, who brought us, who gave a contact to between you and us, and of course, Mr. Surendra Babu too. A hearty welcome to you, sir. And after all this pandemic, we hope we will like to hear you in person, face to face. You all know that Ramco has been a part of ACCEI events this time too, and hosting the webinar on the platform. Representing Ramco are Engineer Anil Pillai, GM Technical Series, and hearty welcome to you. And more we hear you, more we meet. I'm 100% sure you have something up your sleeve to tell us about something new. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to meet you. And Engineer Shank, who is not here in the panel panelist thing, but who is the person whom I was coordinating with to bring up this webinar on the platform. And also Mr. Amarnath, who is behind the screen and handling the IT portion of the webinar. Very hearty welcome to you both. And I also thank Ramco management for giving us this opportunity to be part of this. I have with me our Honorary Secretary, MS Engineer MS Ramprasad, a good friend and known to each other for past about maybe 2.5 decades now. So, and also our Honorary Treasurer, Dr. Amarnath, who's a professor, a very warm welcome. We have participants across the country. At present, we are touching about 100, and very hard welcome to you all. Let's sit back and relax in wherever we are. I am in my office. Some of you must be at home and at home in your office. And let's enjoy the session from Dr. Amarnath. I'm sure all of you will have some questions. We have allotted question and answer session later. Please reserve your questions for that. Suppose if you cannot take those questions, please type it and send. I'm sure there will be answers from Dr. Amarnath sometime later. Thank you, one and all. Let's move to the next program, and I'll hand over to Anil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer S. Prakash, for that opening remarks. And before I give it to Engineer Ram Prasad, let me just take 5 to 10 minutes just to give an overview of whatever the initiatives that we have been taking. As rightly pointed out by Engineer Prakash sir, that in the footsteps of Sir Dr. MB, who always believed in technology and engineering marvels, we at Ramco Cements also believe in the same philosophy, and that's why we give more stress and emphasis on sharing of knowledge, and that's where we were partnering with Association of Consulting Civil Engineers over the last so many years during the Engineers Day celebration, and that's really very nostalgic for us because that's the kind of bond that we have been having, especially with ACCEI Karnataka centers. And as part of it, we have almost more than 100 webinars during this pandemic, and it was on various topics, and there were a lot of feedbacks. And I'm sure that the topics that has been touched upon by various speakers, ranging from reinforcement detailing to smart cities, to cement, to concrete, to various practices, to various aspects of design. I'm sure that most of you would have enjoyed it and had got a lot of inputs on that. And at the same time, whatever webinars we have posted it on YouTube as well as on Facebook, through which one can view, even if you want to view it the second time, or for those who are busy with their work, they can always view that in their spare time. That is one thing. And second thing is that if you want to interact with us, please feel free to type on the chat box or question answer session, which will be taken up during the end of the session, as rightly pointed out by Prakash sir. And we at Ramco Cements, we have been promoting the various brands of cement, on the philosophy of right product for right application. In fact, we have almost 12 brands of cement, which can be used for various applications based on the concrete requirement. And we have this campaign which we have started, wherein we are encouraging the construction professionals, especially in the unorganized sector, to define the requirements of concrete before you go in for the type of cement. Like say, for example, why not understand the requirement of concrete in terms of grade, in terms of workability, in terms of durability, in terms of any other special requirement that is needed. They need to define that and then go in for the type of cement, rather than just ask for a particular brand of cement. So for that, we have been circulating a questionnaire which helps them in understanding the requirement of concrete, because that is where right product for right application comes into play, and one needs to understand that. And that is where we have been able to customize the cement product based on the application. And third and the most important thing is that we have office bearers of ACCEI Mysore Center who have joined us. Dr. Y.M. Manjunath also, who has joined us now. Welcome you, sir. And of course, we have Engineer Ram Prasad sir and Engineer Prakash sir, who is there behind all these fruitful seminars that we had over the last few months. In fact, ACCEI has played a pivotal role in in partnering with us in propagating seminars on various topics. And during the Engineers Day, of course, we have a series of webinars over the next few days, and I'm sure that most of you will join with that. And there are a number of speakers who would be joining us from the eastern part of the country also, from Odisha also we have, and from Bangalore also we have a program on rainwater harvesting. In fact, it is on 24th by Engineer Kalbavi, who is also one of the key members of ACCEI, who has played a pivotal role. And I'm sure that this series of webinars would be useful to all of us. With those notes, let me hand over it to Engineer Ram Prasad, who is the Honorary Secretary of ACCEI Mysore Center, to introduce the speaker, Dr. Amarnath, who has taken off time from his busy schedule to be here with us, to interact with us. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Engineer Ram Prasad.
Thank you, Pillai sir. Good afternoon, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Amarnath CB. He is an agent for digital transformation in Indian AECO sector, that is architecture, engineering, construction and owner sector. He is the founder and president of National BIM Society, Indian Building Information Modeling Association, and he is serving as head BIM strategy at L&T. Over the course of his career, he held various positions as head strategy, assistant professor, entrepreneur and advisor in India, Taiwan, Spain, Italy and UK. He has research experience of 11 years in the field of BIM and digitalization at Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi, National Taiwan University and Imperial College, London combined. He has participated in few international conferences and has published journal papers and book chapters in this area. His key research focus is on two directions, that is establishing BIM project strategies and BIM education and training. These two directions merge with what can be considered the main shortage in Indian construction policies, how BIM can help huge amount of new infrastructure and building projects, and how BIM would have to be introduced in the learning plans and syllabus of all universities. He is an advisor member of European Union BIM Observatory and BIM Crew. He is in the editorial team of many journals and technical committees. Dr. Amarnath CB is playing an active role as an advisory member for several Digital Build India initiatives. Friends, here I present to you today's guest speaker, Dr. Amarnath CB. Thank you. Thank you all. Over to you, Pillai sir.
Presentation by Dr. Over to you, sir. Dr. Amarnath, the floor is yours. We are keen to listen to you, and I am sure that this digital transformation using BIM would enlighten us more. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me, especially for this occasion, Sir MV, this session, and also for giving a brief introduction about the program. And I like to go directly into the topic rather than taking more of the audience time. And parallelly, I would like to switch off the video because the network is very bad. I don't want to get into the.
Same with other panelists also, please. Thank you.
I believe that the screen is visible for all of them.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So for today, we are going to discuss about how BIM is nothing but building information modeling, how it can help us for digital transformation. As we all know, this pandemic situation, where almost 2019, COVID 2019, so it's almost 1 year, going to complete 1 year now for the COVID to come in. And COVID has given a lot of challenges for our construction sector. Parallelly, it has also helped us to digitalize and for people to think the other way to work on. And it was very much required because if you see the global trends, most of the countries are moving further in terms of digitalization for construction. And it's also for our country, which is very much important because India is a country which is developing and which has a lot of projects to be delivered in terms of any kind of infrastructure projects to the building sector to whatever cities. So in this kind of situation, the project management plays a very major role. And project management without digitalization is very much difficult because when we consider a project, it may be a building, infrastructure, or a smart cities. You have different organizations coming together, maybe a design, contractor, subcontractor, facility maintenance, operations, and consulting companies and owners, and some certification agencies. So it's very much important to make sure that better coordination is available among these agencies, and also better data management is available for whatever has been generated from the day one, which may be programming phase, then the conceptual, then the design phase, then the construction, then the handover, and then the operation. Then you may go for demolition and recycle. So data is very much important. Whatever project you take, if you don't get the right data at the right time, so it may result in delay of the works or activities, which may be again not according to project management requirements. So BIM, when I say, I simply tell it as data management. It's about how you manage the data and how data is accessible to different stakeholders in the project. When we say about project management, as per the Industry 4.0, there are 3 items to be considered. One is BIM, which is for better data management. It may be for buildings or infrastructures of cities. And the second one is Lean BIM. We call it as Lean BIM, where the Lean is integrated with BIM. It's about the process management. It's about how you standardize the way of implementations. The third one is IPD. We call it as Integrated Project Delivery. So IPD is nothing but it's for people management. So IPD, Lean, and BIM together supports in a better project management. And now whatever you see, IPD would have been used before, or the Lean would have used before. All of these getting integrated for better digital world, wherever we are expecting smart buildings, smart infrastructure, smart cities. For having these kind of smart facilities, it's very much important to have BIM as a foundation. If you do that will help you to manage all the data what is coming. You may be seeing in this screen a word map where you have a dots on a different countries, the colors. So these are the countries where the BIM implementations and research are happening in a big way. More than 90 to 100 countries are now influenced with BIM as a data management and overall project management. And they're very keen on mandating that for several projects, or the country level mandates, state level mandates. Education is also spreading very well on this area. It's becoming part of the civil education, civil architecture, mechanical, construction management, real estate, law departments, this kind of areas. So let us know what's that happening with respect to BIM globally. Then we can move further on what is BIM and how we can take it forward for our Indian AECO sector for better digital transformation. And here is my contact. So I'm most of the time available on WhatsApp. So if you want to connect with me, better you can ping me on WhatsApp, then we'll be able to connect. Going further, just to give you a brief on what is BIM. BIM is a set of technologies. Many people think BIM is a software. I agree, BIM is also a software, but not just a software. Many people think BIM is Autodesk or BIM is Revit. These are some of the softwares or a software vendor providing the software. BIM is an overall concept that helps for better data management. It's a combination of technologies. When you want to implement BIM in a project, you may need to go with 20 to 25 softwares. Some softwares you may use for planning, some for design, some for construction monitoring, safety planning, progress control. Like that, you have different software solutions for time planning, cost planning. So that is nothing but those called as technologies. Second is process. It's about standardizing the way you do the data management, or the way you coordinate with the people. That is nothing but process. The third is policies. Whenever you want to implement something with a defined workflow, there should be standardized policies for people to check and clarify if we are going on the same lines as required. So those are nothing but policies. It's a combination of technology, process, and policies that enable multiple stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, these are the people who are involved in the project delivery. It may be from planning to design to construction to handover to operations. Whoever is involved in any of the activities, these are called as stakeholders. This will enable these stakeholders to collaboratively design. Once they design, they can use it for construction monitoring. And once they do the monitoring and update all the data, then they can use it for facility maintenance. That's where the smart facility maintenance comes in. And this will be the most important thing for any smart facilities to be monitored. And this is one of the term from the BIM dictionary. There's a text dictionary for BIM itself. There are more than 800 terminologies. I'm also part of the BIM dictionary for Indian context. So you're welcome to explore that if you are willing to get into the BIM area. And before I go to the next slide, some people may say VDC, virtual design and construction. That is nothing but BIM. It's nothing but you're designing virtually and you're constructing. It's the same thing. Some people say IIM, infrastructure information model. That is also same thing, but they're using it for the infrastructure level. They're using this term. Some people may say CIM, city information model. It's also same thing, because until your buildings and infrastructures are smart, you cannot have smart cities. In fact, smart people are most important. So this is nothing but if you're using these terms, or someone would say digitalization, or someone say digital twin, or someone say digital transformation, or someone say smart buildings. So all of these are referring to the same context BIM. Okay? So don't get confused with that. So why BIM? We are saying that many countries are doing it. Obviously, they are doing it. They know the returns from that and what is the benefits that different stakeholders can get. And we being in India, our AECO industry employs more than 35 million people and has the second highest inflow of foreign direct investments. And it also contributes 11.1% of India's GDP. And this is as per the survey of 2016. Okay. Now there may be changes. And when you implement BIM in the projects, it will firstly help you to reduce the initial cost of construction and the life cycle cost. Because what is most important in the projects is plan better and construct faster. But what happens in the regular situations is plan faster and construct for a long time. So it may lead to delays. And when you have BIM kind of things, you have the virtual models getting developed. You are doing a lot of simulations with respect to time planning, cost planning, different types of analysis, safety checks. Everything can be done so that you have a better understanding, even in terms of cost flow, what is required in the projects. And it can also reduce the overall time by almost 50%, they say, but at least my understanding is 20 to 30% time can be easily saved when you plan it better and you have something visualization. Like how you see in the aeronautical industry, mechanical industry, product development, they all develop the virtual model first. They do possible simulations before they manufacture or fabricate. I think this is most important for our for our AEC sector also. So that's the reason BIM comes into picture. BIM is nothing new. It's the same way how the aeronautic or other divisions follow. They have a different terms used, but we use it as a BIM. And here, when we say BIM, building information modeling, BIM, B stands for building. It's a verb. Okay? It's not a building. It's a verb. That means you are building the information into the model. It may be for an infrastructure model or a city model or whatever. So as per the UK government 2020, as you know that most of the countries are working on BIM, and UK also focused on having BIM as a mandate, including Singapore and Australia, Germany. Almost 20 plus countries are mandated BIM for the projects. and for their procurements. Even for example, Singapore, even if you want to bid for the projects, you need to do through the BIM process. And BIM can also help you for greenhouse gas emissions reductions. And with such a massive investment happening in our country, and it's very much important to focus on construction management, project management. So where BIM plays a major role. Okay. So, and I can say BIM is part of project management. It's nothing different. The way you manage the project is happening in the current trends. It should be with this digitalization, and that is what BIM is happening market. And who are the people involved in this BIM field? You may be thinking that, okay, this is meant for only technology people, or this is meant for youngsters, or this is meant for only until the client has mandated this doesn't make it different. And nothing like that. BIM is meant for, and who are the people involved in this are mentioned in these three circles. The first one is policy players. This is nothing but the academia, and you have a regulatory bodies, and you have research centers and the regulators who develop the different educational programs, building standards, research projects, contractual agreements, benchmarks, guidelines, and so on. These people efforts are very much important for a market leverage. And speaking about these three categories, if you want a maturity of that implementation to happen in a country, and we being part of a national society, India BIM Association, and we are taking that as a key important, and we connect with all these three category people to make them collaborate and coordinate to better digital transformation of the Indian sector. And when it comes to process, this is for people like us who are in the industry, who may be the clients, or maybe the project management consultants, or the design companies, or contractors, or a facility maintenance organizations, and so on. Whoever use the existing technologies and you deliver the actual projects. So these people will develop the BIM models, develop different analysis, documentation, planning, time planning, cost planning, different kind of documentation, drawings, and all these things. And as the construction happens, the BIM model also gets matured. The third one is technology field players. Here are the people who provide you the softwares which are used for BIM implementations. So there are different software vendors, software developers, hardware developers. For example, if you need to use a software, you need some required high configuration hardwares. And also good network is important. Today we are all together sitting 100+ people, only because we have a good network. So when we have to collaborate digitally with different organizations working on one particular project, maybe the project team is sitting in different countries or cities, but still you need to work together. That time network is very important. Software, hardware, and network providers comes into the technology field. So these people supported with BIM softwares, different server platforms, and a database for the technologies, and so on. And you may be heard of software vendors like Autodesk, Bentley, Trimble, Dassault. There are almost 20+ tech vendors available in the market who are providing these BIM solutions. And there are more than 200+ BIM softwares available in the market to be used. So it will be the very wrong way to go without understanding what exactly we want to do and what softwares are really required and what kind of people are required. Just directly pitching into one software learning doesn't make sense. So when these three people come together, then only the market level maturity increases. And that's what the efforts we are working on through the National Society that has been set up 4 years ago. And we are very well networked with 40,000+ professionals from 60+ countries, who are all Indians based in other regions and working on these areas. Coming to our AECO organizations and their stakeholders. As I said, there are different organizations which comes into picture when we are delivering a project. At least to name some of them, you have a design or engineering organization, you have a building organization, subcontractor, outside organizations, owner organizations. And within design, you may have architect, structure, plumbing, electrical, HVAC people, or interiors, and so on. And within building organization, you have planning engineers, estimators, quantity surveyors, contractors, so construction managers, and so on. And subcontractors, you may have fabricators, manufacturers. And outside organizations are like government agencies. I think you have to speak your mic. Anyone here on the session?
Can all of you mute your mics, please? I think I think all of them have unmuted their mics. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So next is the owner organization, facility users or owners or facility managers. So as I do this, uh, I can hear still the voice on the background.
Suraj, I think your mic is unmuted. Suraj? Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll mute it.
Thank you. Thank you. So all of these people in the project level has something to do with BIM. It's not like contractor says that, okay, this is something the design team need to do. The owner says that I have nothing to do, design has done. So it's not like that. It starts with a design or a planning, then moves for the builder organizations to use the model for better construction management, and then used for the subcontractor for better fabrication and assembling, and then used by the owner organization to get a better clarity in the projects, and used by the outside organization for better certifications and so on. So it doesn't mean that everyone are using all the softwares. They will be using relevant softwares that are meant for them. Owners no need to use a modeling software. They may use a software where they can visualize what's happening. The designers may use a software for modeling. The planners may use a software to link the timeline with the model. The estimators may use a software where it can generate the quantities of the building materials and then it can multiply with the schedule of loads. The construction manager may use a software where he can coordinate with the design owner and the contractors. It's a different softwares, and the certification agencies may use a software where it can check the quality or the performance of the facilities. So BIM is meant for all. I just want to give this clarity before I pitch in for the further session, because later you may not think that someone is saying BIM is only for design. And BIM provides you the return on investment. Obviously, none of us want to go with something new because it's only new. I don't want to go with it because it only gets a return on investment. I like to go with it. So BIM will get you a lot of return on investment, especially during construction and operation phases. If you don't use BIM for construction and operation, whatever you do in design, BIM is a waste. I will tell you, because you are developing a model and you're only using it for visualization. So you're not actually using it for actual construction. So any organization just stuck with BIM for design, you cannot expect much of return on investment. If you take it for construction and operation, then you can measure the returns. Next, when you say about these organizations, consider this is a conceptual diagram for you. If I say AECO organizations in a project level, you have A, which is a design organization, B may be contractor, C may be operation maintenance, and D may be fabrication agencies. Within each organization, you will have different types of division. Within design organization, if I say, you may have architectural division, structural division, engineering division, like that. So in the contractor, you may have a planning, quantity surveying, safety team, CMPs, construction management, planning cell, like that. So those are like A1, A2, A3, A4. Within that, whatever the circles you see, these are the people. So when I say any particular project, you get people from different divisions and organizations collaborating together to deliver project, which is a temporary team. And when the temporary teams are formed for each project, it's very much important to have a better coordination among these people. If you don't have better coordination between these people, no proper data gets collected. And to make that, such digital platforms are very much important. We cannot work on the same emails, phone calls, SMS, or that will be very traditional approach and a lot of time delays. You need a common platform where you can access the models. Anyone want to make the changes on the models and use the model for better construction management. That's very much important. That's where the BIM plays a major. The next one, you would have heard the term called common data. The term itself says that it's a common environment for data management. What data? It's a facility data. It may be building or infrastructure or a city data. So where do you get this common data? We call it as a cloud platform. That doesn't mean that it's a cloud, but as you all know, there's a cloud services provided by several agencies, like including Amazon and so on, where you have a platform where somewhere the dedicated servers and networks are set up, and you are able to use that space or the capacity to do your activities, developing a model or using it or sharing it or whatever. So day in, day out, this cloud platforms has become common for all of us. Like it may be Gmail or any emails. That's a cloud based, because you are not storing any data on your computer, or it may be Dropbox or any kind of applications these days are all cloud based. The same way, cloud solutions will be used for our AEC sector, where you can install this software as a service can also be provided, where you can access the software, you can log in, and you can design the model, and other people also can open the same login and they can see what is the progress. And during construction, any changes happen that can be updated back to the model in the same cloud, so other people gets an update. But previously, as you know, in a traditional approach, it was a little bit difficult for people to coordinate. But here is a single platform where different people are coming together. That's why I show this. There are different softwares available for common data environment. You may be having from Autodesk, Bentley, BIM 360. From Bentley, you have a project files. From Trimble, you have a Trimble Connect. Like that, you have a different solutions. There is another called BIM Sync. There are almost 15 to 20 common data environment platforms. Again, it depends on what kind of projects you're dealing. If you're dealing with infra projects, maybe you need to go with some software common data environment. If you're using with building sector, you may go with some other. So it all depends on which type of project and what is your situation. Next one is, as I said, IPD, Integrated Project Delivery. Until people are available to collaborate, there is nothing to happen with any technology. Technology cannot do wonders. Technology is built to enhance the collaboration between these people. So there are 8 key things which is considered under IPD, and IPD is a kind of procurement method which is considered for BIM projects as a mandate. Several countries have mandated IPD as a procurement method for the projects, wherein they make it clear that all the organizations participating in the project should be involved in the day-to-day meetings from the day one. It's not that the operation teams comes at the end of the construction for discussions. It's not that the contractors comes only after the design happens. Everyone are involved to express what is meant by what is important for them in terms of data, the project. All the discussions happens collaboratively and then way forward. If there is any loss, it has to be bared by everyone, because design team cannot blame the construction team, or the construction team cannot blame the design team. Finally, operation teams cannot blame the fabrication or contractor. So it's important to coordinate and make sure the project is delivered successfully. And any losses or damages should be shared equally. And IPD facilitates better collaboration and minimize paper-based process, because before we used to use the paper-based CAD drawings, or even for time planning, you develop the big sheets of MSP or Primavera, paste it on your walls on the sites. It becomes very static, not a dynamic, and create a culture of trust and sharing. Usually when people come from these different organizations for a particular project as a temporary endeavor, there is no much of trust and sharing. Within an organization, people don't trust and share. And we are speaking about different organizations coming together for a project. But it's very much important to understand these people are working for the common agenda for the client. And it's very much important to have a trust and share the designs and updates and so on. So that everyone are updated, then only the project becomes easy. Then institute BIM. It's about providing BIM education for all over any organization participating in the projects. It's not BIM is meant for design organization only. BIM is meant for contractors only. Nothing like that. Any organizations participating in a project, they have to learn what is BIM for them, and they need to upskill their team to participate in these BIM projects. We all say BIM as level 0, 1, 2, 3. There are maturity levels people call to measure the capability of an organizations or projects. So level 0 is nothing but, I will give you a brief, where now most of the time in next 4 to 5 years, level 3 projects capability is expected in most of the countries. Level 3 means any organization participating in the project should be BIM capable. If not, they're out of the game. They cannot participate as a group. Set up contract mechanism that enable open collaborations, and it also check for different digital interfaces, because if you want to go to site and you want to if there may be errors, then you cannot do the reworks. You need to avoid these clashes whatever digitally and then go. And with BIM, it will also enable better visual communications. We are using virtual reality devices, augmented reality like Microsoft HoloLens and XYZ things for better visualization. BIM models can be used for this, for better clarification and visualization for the clients and the coordination meetings. So these are the 8 important characteristics for IPD. Looking into the global trends in BIM, what's happening is globally, as I said, more than 80 to 100 countries are working on BIM because the kind of benefits it can bring in. So it's BIM directly cannot come in. There is a set of researchers working globally from different research centers to mature this BIM technologies, policies, standardized workflows. So a lot of research is happening. If you want to go detail, understand about what's happening globally in terms of BIM, you just go to Google, say BIM research, you'll find my article, which was published in 2016, which was one of the top 10 research output for 2016 on BIM globally. And wherein we have researched on what's happening in 70 plus countries by exploring research papers from 65 countries and to get an understanding. That will give a better understanding of. And here, if I want to say, different countries have a different research capabilities. If you say some of the countries in UK and Nordic UK region and Scotland, right, they're more into policies and development of BIM guidelines and so on. And in fact, there are BIM standards developed nationally from almost 10 to 15 countries already. But if you see, ISO BIM guidelines have recently launched for several series for implementations. And some of the countries in Nordic or other regions, they're more onto software development related to BIM. Most of the technology solution providers, if you see, they're from Nordic regions or from US and other. If you see some of the countries like Gulf in the Gulf, they're mainly focusing on implementing whatever the technology, what are the skilled people available. They have good money, so they bring all these things on one platform. They want to implement BIM. They have a good exploration on implementation. Look into some of the countries like Brazil, Canada, Spain, and so on. So they're more into education system, including Australia, how BIM can be diffused into education. Looking into countries like India, China, and some other regions. Again, China is very good in software development, but the only thing is the language will be changed. So coming to India and other countries where they're focusing more on service providing, where they take the drawings from other countries, develop the models, because we have a very cheap labor in the country. We all ready to follow what others say rather than think ourselves what should be done. So this is encashed by other countries and they take us as a benefit and they get the basic services done from us, maybe 1/5 of the price or 1/10 of the price, whatever it is. So we have a very cheap labor. India is built as a BIM factory for providing this kind of repetitive work. So India has a very good strength of this software capable working team. If you want a BIM software worker who can work on developing a model or something, within a week you can get hundreds of them. No, it's not the same in other countries because India has built that kind of team in past 1.5 decade because they work in agencies, companies. That's how the startup has started on BIM, where they take the drawings from other countries. Wherein the other countries don't want to do that repetitive work. They get this here. They appoint some people. They ask them to work on the software, build the models, and so on. So that level of maturity is good in India, but that is not going to help much for better digital transformation in the country. It has to be taken further for construction and operations and overall project management. So what's happening in country now is many of the foreign companies pitch into the country. They take the projects by showing the fancy things to the clients and the ministries, and then they subcontract it back to the Indian countries, Indian companies. This way it doesn't help. That's the reason we had a society to support and provide awareness on these ones. And this is the distribution of BIM research in different directions. Because if someone is exploring BIM in different, however BIM is developing, so BIM research is happening in these different directions. Whatever percentage you see on these lines are the kind of maturity of research in that areas. I know not many of the people here is interested in research, but trust me, without research, implementation, nothing is available. So some research on education, some on real life case implementation, some on organizational adoptions, maturity, standardization, lean and green involvement with it, like that. Next one about the education. As we all know, I don't know if how many of you know that BIM is not new in the market. BIM has started already 3 decades ago. It has been seen as a new thing in the country, but it has been there in the market from past 3 decades. Maybe this year complete, it's almost complete 3 decades. So initially it started in some of the universities like Georgia Tech, Stanford. They started some initiated interdisciplinary and distant collaborations. And then many universities realized that it's important. And then they introduced into their curriculums 2003 to 6 as a single course or intra-course collaborations. And looking into this kind of progress, there was a 2006 to 9 number of colleges incorporated BIM into their existing curriculums. When in India, still universities are thinking about introducing BIM in the curriculum. But one thing happening is they are introducing BIM software into curriculum. Again, I'm telling, there are so many people with the software capability. Again, teaching the same doesn't make sense. And transdisciplinary interlevel multinational collaborations are happening in the education system 2010 onwards, where students from different countries and different departments like civil, architecture, and other divisions collaborate together and understand project level, and they work together. And then 2015 onwards, it was more of all these divisions, professors along with industry experts and researchers and the policymakers come together, take live projects and work on that. That's the kind of education system moving forward. And this is a global trends in BIM education, where more than 20 to 25 countries already have BIM as in the curriculum of civil, architecture, mechanical, construction management, real estate, and other divisions. In the curriculums already diffused, and they keep revising it every 1 year. Every year they revise the curriculums, but unfortunately in our country, the curriculum gets revised maybe 5 years once, 3 years once, or 10 years once, or maybe longer. So then we will be very much outdated to work. And it's one thing which is very much important to consider. Whatever the education that is delivered should help the candidates to focus on what's going to happen the next decade. But our education system is helping them to focus on what has happened on the previous decade. So there's a change required in the market on these lines also. So BIM adoption efforts worldwide from the public sector. So this is about the kind of mandates, since the ministries and the clients realize that BIM is benefiting them because they're able to visualize what's going to happen. They get a clarity in terms of the costing. They get a clarity on how the building is built and how it has been managed and so on. And moreover, they get a better data for smart facility management during the operation, where they can save a lot of money for better facility management. The main thing which matters during when you're facilities, after 10 years of facility construction, if you don't get the right data, how do you deal with it? So when you have BIM, you have all the data set on one platform, you will be able to monitor the facilities easily. You don't need to hire more people to manage the facility, but you need to have a good platform set to manage the data. So these countries, wherever you see the black dots, have taken some initiatives to mandate BIM as a procurement for their projects from the client sides. Within India also, we have several mandates from some of the agencies like airport authorities and some of the metro projects, and CPWD is now looking at. So many projects are now coming with a BIM mandate, even at the state levels. So this is coming to the BIM maturity. So when I say BIM, everyone, any organization, if we are not matured with BIM, when you go and ask for a service from some other agency, they say they are doing BIM. Every company says they are doing BIM. Then how do you know what is the difference in the level of BIM they give you? That's where the BIM maturity comes in. And if you are delivered a project, then you also need to know to what maturity the BIM has been delivered in that project. That's where the BIM maturity comes into picture. So this diagram will give a brief understanding on that pictorially itself. Level 0 means there is no BIM at all. It's all CAD based traditional approach, where people are changing with the hand drawings, or it may be CAD drawings, or they're sharing it via emails or whatever. And level 1 is where at least BIM is implemented for a design level. Maybe you're doing the modeling, then you're using it for visualization, coordination, and so on. That means most of the time design team is activated. Level 2 is nothing but you have a design and construction both happening with the BIM. And that means you are also having a national standards available here. Level 1 is more standardized approach within an organization. Level 3 is where you are using BIM for all the three phases, design, construction, and operations. And you're also having global BIM standards available for usage. And all the activities, what you're performing is happening on a cloud platform. It's not like someone need to have a high configured laptop, they need to install the software and then open it and then develop the work. It's all cloud based. You just need to log in from any device and then work on that. And this is where level 3, and if some company is saying we're already in level 3, that means they're not having a clarity on what is level 3. Maybe they are touching to start of the level 3, but level 3 is not fully matured in BIM yet. Maybe it will take another 4 or 5 years for the global market to mature itself for level 3. That means all the softwares are not cloud-based yet. ISO BIM standards are not fully developed, and standardized workflows are not available. And all the organizations participating in the project are not fully BIM capable. Any projects in the global market, I can challenge on this. The next one, when it comes to BIM standards and guidelines, there are different. Initially, when it started BIM in 1990s and then 2000 onwards, there was some national standards which started. That was a kind of situation where a lot of national standards developed. Every country meant to say that I want to have my own standards for BIM implementation. That's how USA has some agencies, like they have their own standards. UK, Singapore, Finland, Australia, Brazil, Norway, Spain, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, New Zealand, and many more countries. In fact, these are all national standards which are more required for level 2 implementation. For level 3, you need all ISO, which is a global standards. Yeah, and, unfortunately, for level 2, we don't have national standards. What happens with Indian market is we combine different standards from other countries and we make a mixture so we don't understand what's happening. And then we use that standards. BIM standards and guidelines which are available globally, which is ISO standards. Within ISO, there are several BIM standards available for BIM related. I don't know if you have seen some of them, but these are some of the standards which are already developed and in place in the market. Whatever the years you see here, that's the development date. Like 19651 and 2 developed in 2018. I want to add two more. 19653 and 5 recently launched. It was this month and previous month. And there are few other which are based on different implementation requirements. These are some of the ISO guidelines for BIM which are under development that may be launched soon, maybe this year, next year, another. As I said, level 3 BIM standards needs another 3-4 years to be developed. So this may be very familiar diagram for most of you because from a source of Autodesk. This is a diagram to say you what was meant for BIM almost 10 to 15 years ago. Like BIM, you can use it for better programming, planning the project. Then you can do conceptual modeling, which can use for better decision making by the client, which way you want to go. And then you can develop a detailed model from the softwares where you can have a better visualization, coordination, and so on. Then you can use the same model for different types of analysis. You can extract the CAD drawings from the model very quickly. Wherein if you have CAD drawings for different elevations and views, when there is a change, it's very difficult to update that back on the model. But when you have BIM model, update this change in the model in a 3D view, and you can extract the CAD drawings again in a single click, which is much easier. You don't need to do tedious works on that. And the same data can be used for fabrication team for easier fabrication. You don't need to, you have a complete information so that they can easily fabricate and send it, and it can be easily assembled on site without any modifications. You can also use it for better time and cost planning. You can do better construction logistic planning because on site, you may have different people travel paths, vehicle travel, and different routes and different safety measures to be taken, risk hazards, procurements. All this logistic planning can be done. Operation maintenance can be done with BIM. In fact, a lot of cost savings happens from the fabrication to operation, maintenance, and demolition. For demolition also, you have softwares where you can simulate the possibilities, because if it's a high-rise constructions, you need to simulate before you demolish, and you can know where the explosives need to fit in and do better simulations, and so that you cannot you won't affect the neighboring buildings in demolition. And you can also do better innovation planning because you know which are the items that can be recycled, need to be reused, and so on. In fact, this is about BIM. When we go to a hotel, maybe a North Indian, South Indian, or Chinese, whatever, you get a menu from the hotel saying that these are the food items you have. The same way, when the client wants to go with BIM implementation, he want to select what are the BIM related items he want in the projects. So these are the items what you see here in the second column called BIM uses. The client may say that I need a site analysis to be done with BIM. I need a BIM model to be developed with the process. I need a 2D documentation to be generated from the model. I want you to do the fabrication with the model. I need to use it for time planning. Like that, they may say these are the uses I need for the project. The client need to make a decision sitting with a consultant saying that this BIM uses I want to implement for my BIM for my project. Then based on that, further RFPs will be prepared. And then the project execution plan can be prepared based on that requirement. Whatever you see on the x-axis here, these are the life cycle stages: strategic definition, preparation, concept, develop, technical, construction, handover, maintenance. So each of these BIM uses are applicable in different phases of the project. And when someone asks me saying that, can you tell me what is the cost involved in implementation of BIM in a project? Well, it all depends on to what level of BIM you need in the project, what all the benefits you want to implement or you want to take the return on investment on, and what is the size of the project, what are the technologies involved, what kind of people to be procured. Everything counts if you want to make a decision on what is the cost of BIM implementation in a project. It's not something a guesswork. Okay. And here you can see 42 menu items. In the next screen, you can see 43 to 74. That means if you want to implement BIM in a project, you may need to select which are all these things to activate. Any of these items to activate, you may need some set of softwares, you may need set of people to work on that, set of deliverables that will be coming out of that. And all the users may not be applicable for all the type of projects. Coming to BIM model details. When we say BIM model, we all know it's good for visualization. But how detailed is this model? And will you get the detailed model from the day one of design? It keeps on maturing. So if you can see here, different color codes in the columns. The first is strategic definition, then the preparation, then the concept, develop, technical, construction, handover, and maintenance. So the BIM model also matures based on the stages of the project. And we call it as a level of detail or level of development, LOD, we call it as. So initially you see strategic definition, it's more of a client and consultant discussion, what he needs and what can be delivered. And preparation brief is like they start doing the site data check and updates and so on, where you have a site data available. So it's called LOD 100. That's where you have a planning model with the site data available. It may be site data related to the pipelines, underground network, surrounding utilities, surrounding facilities available, everything. Concept design is where you start making a conceptual model of your facility, which may be including the orientation, shape, and basic informations. Here again, it's a LOD 100. Then comes a developer design where you have our concept design, mainly architecture comes in, and developer design where you have architecture, structure team, and other people coming in, where they add further data into the model, like number of floors, number of spaces available, what are the space required for what spaces it will be utilized for. All this data comes in. Next comes a technical design where it's a more detailed BIM model available. Architecture, MEP, interiors, fire protection, and all these agencies comes in to develop their models. And all these models will be combined together to see if there is any clashes and so on. So here it's LOD 300, and we call it as a design intent model. Then comes a construction phase, and the BIM model developed here will be utilized for the construction, maybe for better fabrication, safety planning, cost planning, time planning, logistic planning, procurements, XYZ things, and any changes that need to be updated back to the model. That's what LOD 400, we call it as a construction model. Then when you're handing over the project, you have a as-built model. That means whatever model you develop during design, that cannot be given to the maintenance. Whatever changes has made during site construction, because whatever you plan may not be implemented directly completely. So whatever changes that need to be updated back to the model and then delivered to the operation team. And then the maintenance team use that model to link with their facility management systems, and so that they can do better smart facility management. Many of the times when you hear a smart city, smart infra, smart buildings, people don't take the term called BIM. They don't use this because it's all IT people. This is more on AEC sector related. But without this, they cannot have a smart facility built at all. And when I said about different hotel menu items, as I said, different dishes. So each of these BIM uses, 74 items, has been categorized into different life cycle phases. And we have 8 categories for that. I won't go deeper into that because we have a very limited time of another half an hour. But I will give you an overview. Like if you go to the hotel, you know what are the menu items. Like South Indian means you have idli, vada, dosa. Like this, you have different items. No? The same way in our BIM menu, you'll have a different items. So you may need to select which one you need, and based on each of the selections, you will know what is the kind of cost incurred for that implementation in the project. So first one is existing condition modeling. When I say existing condition modeling, it's nothing but collecting the data from the site, any site related data, any existing facility already there, you want to renovate it, that data can be captured. Usually people collect this data by photogrammetry or doing the survey. They also do laser scan. This kind of things will be done to collect the data on site and from the previous drawings and the data from the local authorities from there. So you can do project site modeling and infrastructure modeling. Like you have a project site, this one, if you see the left diagram, on the right side, you have the pipelines and everything. That data can be captured with existing technologies and equipments. The next one is within that, you will be collecting the ground surface model of the project. You'll be developing the ground surface model and any occupying or relevant structures and utilities affecting project. You will have a surveying and BIM team involved, and you may be using drones, laser scanners, robotic stations, photogrammetry, these kind of things. And you'll develop a BIM model with LOD 200 to 300. This happens in the initial stage of the projects. And you may be using softwares like Revit, Bentley, Context Capture, Recap, SketchUp, these kind of things. The next one is surrounding site modeling. Now you collected the site data. Now you want to collect the surrounding site data, surrounding that site. Maybe what kind of infrastructures are available, facilities available surrounding that, what kind of roadways available, what kind of public transport available. All this data can be captured. We call it as more of urban level data capture for better planning. So here includes area, buildings, and infrastructure adjacent to the project site necessary for project analysis, review, and decision support. You have a same surveying, design, and BIM team using drones and laser scanners, and LOD 100 to 200 is required. You will have similar some kind of softwares mentioned here. You can see the Revit, context capture, and so on. Next one is existing condition laser scanning. For example, there is some existing facility you want to renovate, or you want to add on some other facility, new facility to that, but you want to do retrofit also, maybe. Then you will use laser scanners. You will capture the point loads from that, and then you will convert the model. This will also allow you to find what are the defects that need to be set, and so on. So here you may be using 3D laser scanning that produces dimension accurate and detailed 3D point clouds for existing facilities and assets. You have surveying, design, and BIM team, and similar kind of software is available for doing this activity. Next, existing conditions interior modeling. Most of the infrastructure projects or anything, we have interior arrangements, no? Maybe seating arrangements or interior design that may be changed every 5 years or 3 years or 10 years once in many of the IT companies. But how do you change? Before you show to a client, this is how it looks like before and this is how it looks like later. It will be very difficult to define that without having a clarity. So what you do is, and it will be very difficult to take the measurements within the facility. You go into the facility interiors, go take the measurements. That's a very tedious process. But you have laser scanners wherein you can walk inside the facility, it collects the point clouds. You can use the same point cloud for easy measurements, and you can also get a clear understanding on what kind of interiors are there. Then you can reconsider the new design and you can showcase to the client and better planning. So here a spatially accurate model of existing spaces, building systems, components, and equipment will be collected with an LOD 300. You can have a better walkthrough of the facility. You can do better surveying, design, and BIM team will be involved here, and some set of softwares mentioned here will be utilized. So this is for geotechnical modeling. Whoever is geotechnical related people, you also have a role in field. You can collect the geotechnical data from the BIM process, and it will help you for better visualize dimensionally accurate models of geotechnical analysis. Reports can be generated, which may be required for the project scope and so on. So here LOD 100 to 200 can be generated. You have a geotechnical surveying and BIM team involved. And you may be using softwares like Civil 3D, Recap, Context Capture, Revit, and so on. This all happens in the initial stage of the projects, level 0. And it may go further also. It's about site modeling for horizontal construction. If there is any kind of existing facilities that need to be modeled, so you will collect the existing data through laser scan and then convert to the models. So you will be capturing kind of roadways, rise bridges, walkways, transportation structures such as pedestrian tunnels, examples of horizontal modeling. Here you have a detailed like LOD 200 to 350. You have a surveying, design, and BIM team coming in the picture. The softwares like Navisworks, Recap, Context Capture, Revit can be utilized. So that's the first category of menu. Okay, this is the second category. Once you have the data of your facility of the project site, Next, what you do is you want to plan your facility. So you need to develop the model that we call it as a design and building system model. So here you will have architecture in the first stage where the architecture model gets developed with the BIM model, with the BIM documentation. Model is used to explore design options, serves as a base model for federated design intent and other things. You will have architecture, design, and BIM team involved here with LOD 200 to 300 models getting developed. This usually happens during concept design phase, and we may be using softwares like SketchUp for conceptual design, and then go for Revit for detailed design and so on, open buildings, or a few other softwares. There are plenty of softwares. Next one is space accessibility circulation requirements modeling. When you have a particular facility, you want to know which spaces should come in which locations. You need to do better planning for that. So BIM software solutions also benefit you for that. So modeling of space, circulation areas, accessibility usage, accessibility standards. Because some spaces may be publicly accessible, some may be restricted. So there are some queries coming in. I will be answering them at the end of during the Q&A. So this also happens during concept design phase. Then the structural modeling. This is where the structural engineers comes into picture. Once they have the architecture model, the structural team also works on developing the structural BIM model with using this BIM software solutions. So the design team, structural team, and the BIM team will be involved. Softwares which are very famous for structural engineers or they like is like ECLA structures are very good, and Revit structures, some people use it. And there are many other softwares for that. This happens during developer design phase of the project with LOD 300 models which gets written. The next one is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, which is more of a mechanical analysis system. Trust me, BIM plays a very, very major role in this kind of things. Can you imagine a facility of this category to be built without the models and the fabrication done as per the measurements? It becomes very tedious because first of all, to fabricate, you need exact measurements. Second thing, if you have BIM models, you can directly link with CNC machines and develop the fabrications can be very quick without human interference to higher level. And assembling also very easier because you can plan this day, these are the items I need for the site. And you can procure that on site whenever is required rather than bringing everything and dump on the site at a time. So this will help MEP people in a big way. So a model of MEP system for decision support and analysis made ready for detailing and fabrications. When it comes to heating, ventilation, air conditioning, you have several items coming in. You may need to do a lot of coordination work. So use softwares like Solibri, Navisworks, and so on. This happens during developer design. And the BIM model will be a little bit detailed here, LOD 200 to 400, because you need to send for fabrication. You can also go for structural team also, LOD 350 for fabrication. Next is plumbing and fire protection. This also models can be generated easily and you can procure it easily. You have a MEP team, facility maintenance team, and BIM team in one. The details here is much larger, 200 to 500. That's still handover, whatever the changes happen. Because when it comes to plumbing and fire protection, this is the most important thing the maintenance team utilize during operation phase. So you need to give whatever has been developed, designed, whatever has been installed, whatever the changes during installation, everything need to be updated back to the model when you are delivering the model to the maintenance team. So next is electrical alarm systems. You can also model the electrical alarm systems. You can develop the primary components of the electrical lighting alarm systems, building automation systems, controls, and so on. Here, LOD 200 to 300, you have MEP, BIM team, and facility maintenance team coming. Happens during developer design phase. Then the interiors. I mean, interiors are not left behind. They are very much easy to use this model. They can easily look into the models and have a walkthroughs. Client can get impressed very easier because they can make the client walk through the virtual reality, augmented reality, and all these things. Have a better experience to the client and other agencies. And where modeling of the interior design options, material finish system, signage, and daylighting happens here. You may be having some of the softwares like Revit, 3ds Max, SketchUp, and Lumion for better visualization. So tenant build out is nothing but when you have big facilities. For your tenants, you also need to fix the interiors. For example, imagine an airport. You have different shopping complexes. You have a McDonald's, Coffee Day. Obviously, those people cannot come after you start the airport and they cannot do the interiors. Everything need to be planned prior. Who is going to take this facility? and you need to also get the interiors done for them, delivering the project. So that's nothing but tenant build out. All these things should be considered and will be considered. And at a time when you're delivering the project, A to Z will be delivered. And the next category, this is the third menu, which is about once you develop the model, first you collected the project data, site data. Next, you develop the model related to different disciplines. And next, you are using the model for different types of analysis and reporting. So you can use it for area and space program validations because you need to know how much space is required for each spaces and what is the area and everything need to be validated. You can use the BIM file, specifically spaces and bounding elements, including floors and stories is analyzed with modeling checking softwares. Software, one of the good one is like Solibri, will help you very well in doing this coordination checks. The next is design options. When your client is there, you cannot show one design and say you go with it. Obviously, they will expect you to show 2 to 3 design alternative options. With the BIM model, you can plan different possible alternative options at a conceptual level. And then you can show the benefits and drawbacks of each of these design. Then the client can make a quicker decision on implementing. The next one is model checking for program components. This is very important BIM use in the project. When you develop BIM models or the CAD drawings, if you are going on the site and start implementing, if there is anything overlap between different disciplines, then the rework occurs. But when you have the BIM models, you can bring all the BIM models together and do the interference checks. And you can avoid these clashes before you go to the site so that you can save a lot of money and time, and quality can be improved better and client will be much satisfied. So model checking is a rule-based activity that automates model reviews. So this software is whatever you use like Solibri. You can set the rule set saying that this is the minimum distance between these two items and this is the space required. Every rule set can be set and it will identify and say this is the clashes. And then you can have a coordination meeting with different discipline people and resolve them. This happens during developer design and also during technical and also during construction phase. That is nothing but here what you see, clash avoidance and protection. So next one is structural analysis. Previously you saw structural modeling. Now once you have the model of a structure, you can do different types of analysis. Previously you used to use STAD and this kind of things. That's all 2D based. Now you have a structure analysis software for BIM itself. You just use the model, you can do the better structure analysis with the detailed information. The only thing is all the previous softwares what you used to use in the 2D era all gets outdated and you cannot use those kind of technologies for this implementation of it. You cannot say some people use the model, some people I go with 2D. That's again no use. Better don't implement BIM at all in that situation. If you want to go with BIM, go with complete BIM so that you get the return on investment. If you want to go with half BIM, better don't go with it. Whenever you feel you want to go, then you can start that. And it can also help you find out equipment and maintenance clear space, whatever the space you need for each equipment for as a clearance for operations of that equipment. That can also be checked in the BIM models very well. So the modeling covers major equipment and elements required, defined access and maintenance spaces. So here LOD 400 will be required. You may be using some softwares like Revit Suite and other applications like including Navisworks. So if you want to do the estimation, previously we used to imagine the number of the quantities and we used to put an estimate, rough estimate. And that used to deviate a lot from what is going to be delivered. And the client becomes very unhappy. Every time you say, this is planned and this is the budget, this is the actual cost. But when it comes to BIM, you have the model, you have all the materials exactly in the model. And it's a simple thing. You can extract the quantities from the model and then you can multiply with the existing schedule of rates. Then your cost, whatever you're planning, will not deviate more than 5%. So the client also will be happy, you are also happy because the fund flow is very smoother and there may not be much of litigations coming whenever the fund flow is required. So here, once the BIM model is available, you can extract the quantities easily, very faster. And with the same quantities, you can do the cost estimations easily. And every time there's a change in the design, it was tedious before to do the cost estimation again. But with the BIM model, it's very simple. So whatever the changes, model changes, and again extract the quantities, multiply with the schedule of rates. Within day or two, you get the quantities and estimations. It's used for budgetary costing. The next category is about sustainability, lead, and energy. Many of the times we speak about smart and sustainable cities, green buildings, and green infrastructures. Maybe you're going with the lead, IGBC, TERI, GRIHA, BIM, different type of certifications. Those related benefits are also available in BIM. Once you have the BIM model, you can use it for energy modeling, sun studies, daylighting analysis, kind of things. So here the BIM model is analyzed to improve the daylighting in design, to understand sun shading needs and balance with daylighting and artificial intelligence. Here there are softwares like Green Building Studio, EcoTech, and so on. So next one is existing building rapid energy modeling. When you don't have enough data for your facility, still you can do energy analysis. And there are some techniques for that and software solutions that can help you, like Sapphira, Revit, and so on. With limited data, you can still do the energy analysis. Next is mechanical analysis. You can also do the virtual testing and balancing of the design model to support sustainable building system design analysis, calculate native heating and cooling analysis, and so on. Here, the BIM model will be like LOD 300. You have MEP design and BIM team coming in. This happens during developer design phase and further. Next is green building certification. It will become wrong if I say LEED certification because it's a green building. We are taking an example of a LEED, which is US based certification. The similar kind of analysis can be done, but LEED agency and BIM is coordinated very well now. So maybe with other green certifications, you cannot automate BIM faster, but with LEED, it's almost some level of activation has come so that the lead consultants can easily use the model for better suggestion for the clients about what is the rating they will get, what is the certification they will get. That's one thing. Next is lighting analysis can be done with the BIM. You may do different lighting where the fixtures need to come, everything can be analyzed and assembled as per the requirements. This will also help you for better green building complex. Next is system analysis, again about BIM used to capture the building geometry and characteristics that need to conduct aspects of energy performance analysis and support process. The next category is about how you use this BIM model for design, constructability reviews, and coordination. Here is where the construction team comes into picture. Whatever we spoke before, it's more on engineering and design, but now is more on a construction phase. So BIM models one developed, it may be used for different coordination meetings on the project sites. You may have a different projectors or big screen setup. People can visualize things better and have a better coordination done rather than creating a waste of time during when you don't have visualization because different people have different imagination in their mind. But you have a model in place. Everyone on one platform to think what is actually there, model. And it will help you for better decisions, among the teams. So then once you have the model, you can do better, you can develop the digital details and mockups which can be used for fabrications and so on. Here you have a architecture, engineering and construction related managers and BIM team. And the BIM model will be with LOD 200 to 300. Softwares like Vico Office and so on is used, Synchro, so on. This happens during technical design phase and then construction phase. So this is about scheduling, 4D modeling and logistics. So once you have the BIM model, you can link it with the timeline for better time planning on the site. You want to know what kind of equipments are moving on the site, what kind of crane movements happen, what kind of procurements happen, what kind of travel paths for the people. So you can do better time, cost, safety, risk, hazard assessments, everything, procurements. So construction coordination model supporting look ahead, construction phasing, construction material movement, labor sequencing, and site plan. They will have architecture, engineering, and construction managers and BIM team involved. BIM model will be with LOD 300, and this happens mainly during construction phase. You may be using softwares like Synchro, Vico, and there are other tools also. This is for site safety review. When you have that logistic planning happening, you can also use it for better safety planning. There are set of solutions available which will help you for predict what are the safety measures to be taken, and you can also train the site team on taking the possible precautions for that. In-field construction labor. This is nothing but whatever you see the left side guy sitting with a total robotic station where he has loaded the BIM model and the point cloud and is able to guide the site assembling with the point cloud, saying that this product need to be assembled at this position. And this will also help him to capture the positioning of each assembly and put back to the model, because he also need to guide any changes on the site construction that need to be put back to the model. So this is again LOD 300. Construction managers has the key work here with the BIM team. Starts with the technical design phase, move further for construction phase. And also the subcontractors will be involved in. Then the laser scanning for the construction phase. Many of the time you want to capture the as-built data. So you can do the laser scan, you get the point cloud and you get the real information. You can also use it for measurements. You can also have it as a digital twin model data. And you can also use it for progress monitoring. Every 3 months or for example, 6 months once, I need to know are we behind or ahead of the schedule of the project. Then we can do the laser scan, overlap it on the previous data, and you can know how much difference has been progressed. If there's a behind, then you need to fast track the process by putting in extra resources. So here you will have a 3D laser scanning performed during construction captures as a build work, which aids the operation teams in facility management. You'll have a BIM model with LOD 500. You have a construction managers and BIM team involved here. You'll have a scanners like Faro scanner or some laser scanner, Karta, these kind of scanners used. So softwares like context capture converts the point cloud to the model, and also real work softwares are there. This usually happens during construction phase, used for different purposes. This for prefabrication of building components. Once you have the BIM model with LOD 350, you can use the same data linked with the CNC machines and fabricate the materials and send to the site as per the requirements. Procurement can be easier and also assembling can be easier. You have a prefabrication manager's BIM team involved here. The LOD will be 400 of the model. Softwares like Tekla structures, Wetsuit can be applied. And the next category is documentation, drawings, and specifications. Once you have the model, you use it for construction, analysis, and everything. Now you can extract the drawings from the same model. So you can use the construction drawing production can be done with the models. Every time revisions that can be easily shared with the site people. Next, you can use it for shop drawing coordination. Okay. Here you have architecture, design, and BIM team involved with the BIM model LOD 400. Happens during the construction phase of a project. And next comes the as-built models. This is where people call it as a digital twin. When I say digital twin, this may be a common fancy word many people are using nowadays to say, okay, I'm delivering a digital twin, some sessions. Digital twin is nothing special. It's nothing but it's a virtual model. You have a virtual model, which is a replica of your actual facility that is built. For example, I have planned something for the airport. And after construction, there are some changes. And that changes I update back to the design model, whatever BIM model you have built. And any changes updated, and until the final construction is getting handover, all the changes has been updated. That becomes a virtual model of your real construction work. No? So we call the digital model and the real facility combination as a digital twin. We also call it as a as-built model. Before we had a design model. Now whatever has built, that is updated, so it becomes as-built. So this is a key requirement during handover phase for the clients and also for the operation team. Usually architecture, design, and facility maintenance team involved here to get as per what they need. And LOD 500 model is must for this phase. And this can be utilized for maintenance phase further. Data normalization, because there are so many people involved in adding the data into the model. So it's important. For example, if 4 to 5 modelers are doing the architecture work, then someone may use for the conference, there may be 5 to 10 conference rooms. Someone name it as a conference room, someone name it as a meeting room, someone name it as XYZ, some other name. But when you are going to use the model, you cannot have these different naming conventions. You need to normalize that. So that is nothing but data normalization. So you will have a data analyst and BIM team involved here. LOD 300 model is required here as a basics. You may be using some of the classification standards like OmniClass, UniClass. You may be using Microsoft SQL Server for the categorization and Excel and so on. Then as-built CAD drawings. Whatever the CAD drawings before you heard was a construction CAD drawings. And this is the CAD drawings after construction as-built model you get. From that you extract the drawings. And why do you need this CAD drawings? This is required for the facility maintenance team for regular checkup and maintenance and any kind of disasters and so on. So this can be utilized, and this architecture and design and FF team and BIM team involved to give the inputs and relate the data. And LOD 500 will be the model size, and this will be delivered during handover and closeout phase of the project. The next is commissioning and handover. Once you have handed over, then you need to commission and use it for maintenance. So virtual handover, whatever the changes, installation has been done, everything will be recorded and updated to the model. For example, some equipment get installed. You may record how it has been installed, and you can link that data model video to the model, so that anyone who comes for maintenance can get a clarity. Something like this, all data should be updated. The next one is COBE. We call it as a construction building information exchange. And this is very important for better facility maintenance or for the construction management or a design management. That's why you see design, build, and operate. The design team need to hand over the data, whatever has been generated during design phase, to the construction team as expected, so that they can use it. The construction team need to hand over the data, whatever is generated during construction phase and design phase, together for the maintenance team. And the maintenance team need to organize the data and use that link for the smart facility management, and so that the latest facility maintenance team can also benefit from it. How you deliver this data through Excel sheets based on each components is nothing but COBE. The next is commissioning. You can also do better commissioning, which is a systematic process of verifying that all building systems perform interactively according to the design and the owner operational needs. The next is model data that can support disaster planning. You may know that there may be several kind of natural disasters that may come, but you may need to do better planning for that. So you can do possible simulations using BIM softwares and so on. So you have a design and BIM team, LOD 300 models and so on. So next, model for maintenance and maintenance training. There is a maintenance team which is coming for operation phase, but you also need to train them how they can manage this facility. Yeah, for that, the training instructions, the model, video lectures, everything can be prepared and linked to the model, so that the training team can utilize it for better planning for operations. The next is facilities and data integration. This is where smart facilities come in. So you are using it for assessment method models, where BIM may be used for field for efficient data collection, for what's happening on the site, what kind of sustainability checks are happening, green building analysis, what kind of energy utilization, heat and cooling, everything can be. The next is space planning for the move management. In different infrastructure spaces, you may have different kind of crowd behavior and different timeline. So, but you need to know you have a required passages and travel paths for this crowd movement. So these simulations can also be done with the BIM. The next is security. You may have different security cameras, alarm systems, but you want to know how much distance these cameras can cover, how much distance these alarms can cover in terms of sound penetration. So all these things can be simulated using the BIM model that will show this is the area this camera can cover. So all these kind of security checks can be done with the BIM. The next is CMMS and CFM data model integrations for better facility management. The next one is resiliency modeling, any kind of disasters. How do you quickly recover at that situations? Visualization simulations can be used to support land use policies and help analyze first response data and access peer to determine the final strategy. So next is building automation systems integrations, or you can call it as infrastructure automating systems or smart city or whatever it is. So you can once you have the digital model of the facility, you can link it with your surveillance cameras data, security access data, fire detection and alarm systems. All this, whatever you see, smart facility management, all data can be linked back to the model so that you can do better smart management of the facilities. You can just have this access of the model on one platform on your iPad or a mobile phone, and you can still have a capture and you can monitor the project, your facilities. And when I say BIM, many people are confused. What are the softwares? What are the software vendors? Because software vendors are mainly focused on selling the software solutions. But we as a service provider should focus on what exactly client needs. Based on that, you need to select the softwares. There are more than 250, 300, and whatever you see on the right hand side are the software vendors available in the market. Okay, different softwares have different software solutions. Some software vendors focus on design related software, some focus on construction and operation related, some focus on building sector software, some focus on cities and infrastructure related. It's very much important to understand how the connectivity between these softwares and projects, and also costing readily available people to work on that softwares. Here is some list of softwares for you to get a clarity. I won't go deeper on this, just to give you awareness so that you no need to restrict yourself to some limitations. You have sustainability check related software, architecture software, structural software, MVP software, coordination software, BIM servers for the cloud platforms, construction simulation softwares, facility maintenance softwares. There are many more. Okay, I'm just showing you some of them. And these are some of the software packages. You would have seen some of these logos. You get a clarity. Okay, these all belong to BIM related packages. And what is the future of BIM and how can BIM education be delivered? Forget about the global sector. They focus on that, but this is our country. We also need to go through the transformation. And this is a country where you have the biggest market for industrialization and highest investments are happening at this point of time. And we have very young and youth who are ready to go and support. But directioning these people is the most important. When they don't have a proper direction, it will be very difficult to focus for them on the right things. So what we have done through the National Society is we did a survey from India BIM Association. This was 2017, 3 years ago, but it's still a good data, holds good for till now. We had collected data from these regions, from the industry and policy, academic people, to understand what are the barriers they have for getting such influences. And we categorized that most important things into 3 areas that need to be solved by those people. This means policy field players need to solve these problems, technology field players need to solve this, industry players need to solve this. Day in, day out, we are bringing in these people, networking. Almost now, many of the BIM related industries are connected with our society. Now we are having discussions how we can work together, but as you know, very few people like to coordinate and work. Coming to the BIM education, that can be, you cannot say BIM as education is a one semester, one subject. BIM cannot become one subject in our elective in a course. Then it's like you are just somehow someone say BIM is not there in the curriculum. Somehow you are introduced one subject and saying BIM is there in the curriculum. That will not help. You should introduce BIM in different existing courses itself, and it can also be a separate course for a master degree. Most of the universities nowadays globally, they have a master's degree only on BIM like that, or most of the divisions like architecture, civil, computer science, they have introduced BIM in their subjects. So it's very much important to understand how the framework needs to be designed for a particular university. And in terms of skill sets also, someone know one software, I think I know BIM everything. So people will have a different skills and competencies to focus on BIM projects. Someone may be more strong on technical, someone operational, functional implementation, some good in administrative, support, managerial, R&D. The combination of this works for different job roles in the market. And this is just to give you a brief. I think I'm still on time, 4:30 now. So this is just to give you a brief on my background. I have this. This is my education background. I'm bachelor's from civil. My hometown is Bangalore. I've done a master diploma in CAD. That's where I started BIM. That was 2005. By now 15 years. And master of engineering in construction management, and then master degree on global BIM management from University of Barcelona. And my PhD is on how BIM can be strategized in organization level from National Taiwan University and Imperial College London as an exchange. And this is my academic career. I was a research assistant in IT Delhi for almost 3 years. And then I served as a faculty in some of the universities. Then I was a PhD student research assistant in Imperial College. And I'm currently a country editor for a BIM dictionary. And this is my enterprise background. I was an international representative for the first BIM education platform from a Spanish entity. And then I was a BIM consultant for one of the NIB, which is a new industrialized building generation company. And then I was advisory for European BIM Advisor and BIM Academy, which was a Spanish initiative. And then served as a program director for a BIM crew. Then we started a society, which is the India BIM Association, still running with a good swing with better collaboration with almost 60 countries. And currently serving as a head of BIM strategy for L&T construction, wherein my roles are to formulate L&T construction's way forward in terms of digital transformation for the next 5 years plan. And also, we also have a BIM academy set up in the company where we do day in, day out trainings for our technical level, manager level, senior executives. I take care of that part and also get the company for ISO certification. These are my roles. And this is my research directions. As I show, there are 12 such areas. I explore some of these areas, like how the global trends are happening, what is the maturity, education and training, leading. If you are focusing on research on these areas, you're welcome. And this is the National BIM Society for Digital Transformation. I would recommend all of you to become a member of this society. There is a student member, professional member, associate member, institutional members, company members, corporate members, all these things are there. You just need to Google India BIM, you'll find the website, there's a membership details, and you can download the application, fill it and send it back to us. And I suggest you to join hands for this digital transformation initiative. The reason is, looking at our initiative, usually what happens is global initiative starts and then we follow them and we start. But for the national society, we started in 2016. Following this, Brazil has started their forum, Nepal has started their forum, UAE has started their forum, and almost 5 to 10 countries have started forums based on how we are working. So it's one of the examples that sets, and we're also now formulating the global BIM forum. And it's a time for discussions now. I think we have another 15, 20 minutes. And thank you for listening to me with patience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amarnath. That was a very interesting presentation. In fact, it is very interesting to note that BIM can go in for collaboration, and it need not be confined to design alone. But then, you can have a combination of all that, and a lot of work you have done in this area. And I am sure that the participants would be interested in getting their queries addressed. Can we start with the question answer session?
Yeah, please.
So
The
before
first
that,
question is,
Manjunath will propose the vote of thanks.
Okay. After vote of thanks, we will go for question answer session, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Manjunath, you can take over.
Dr. Manjunath, for the honorary treasurer of ACCEI Mysore, would give the vote of thanks. After which we will start off with the question answer, Dr. Amarnath.
Yeah, thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Manjunath, for the vote of thanks.
I think we will shift, sir. We can finish.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The first question is, can the process of linking the 3D model to the project schedule be automated? Currently, the 3D designer's model has to be split as per the task manually, and then tasks are linked to building objects in the 4D software such as Navisworks. This question is being asked by Rishabh Borade.
Okay. See, the way you develop the model, when you develop the BIM model, if you are understanding how the activity splitting happens, when you go to MSP or Primavera, you have activity breakdown structure, work breakdown structure, and all these things. But if you can understand that, and based on that you develop the model, then there is no question of difficulty in linking the model with the time. But if the design team is not coordinating properly with the planning team, that's where the problem occurs. And again, it's BIM, nothing especially. It's all what you are developing. The way you develop, if it's standardized, then there is no problem in linking. But currently, what I see is there's a little bit difficulty in how you can break down the model for linking with the software, using the softwares like Navisworks and so on. I do agree, but it should be standardized further.
The second question is, how is the 4D BIM model updated as the construction program so that it can be used to visualize the difference between the planned versus the built model? The updation of 4D BIM model, how can it be done?
Okay, so as many of them know, you can use the BIM model to link with the timeline using some of the technology solutions. And you are also using it for progress monitoring. But your question is like, how can I use whatever the site data coming in? How can I use it for progress monitoring? Yeah. So usually some people use the photographs on the site and then try to overlap on the timeline model to see how much difference is there. Or some people do the point cloud data capture and overlap the point cloud with the BIM model to see the difference with better clarity. And some people also fix the cameras on the site to see the differences. And also some people use the RFID tagging for the different elements so that whenever it's installed, you get to know. Whenever it's the model that can help you for better tracking of the progress. There are different ways. It depends on to what level of detail you want to go with the progress monitoring.
All right. Other thing is that what technology is used in companies like Lasnan Tubro to capture the on-site project status and update it in 4D model?
So is this a question that they want to know what is done in energy?
what technology are you using for updating it? Any specific technology are you using?
For some of the linear projects, we do use the laser scan. We use the service providers who do the laser scan.
I think we can go out of the presentations and then we can see you answering.
Okay.
Okay. Stop sharing if you do it.
Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yes, you're visible. What he suggests is that you can just stop sharing the slide so that you can be seen in the slide itself.
Okay.
If you just stop sharing.
Stop. There's an option called share my screen, but there is no option.
Is there a stop sharing kind of thing from your side?
Suraj, can help us out?
Okay, now?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's okay.
This one.
Now it's okay.
We can see you more clearly now.
Yeah.
So we are using laser scanners for some of the projects which are linear projects. We also capture that way. Some places we are also trying with RFID, and some places we do capture with the photogrammetry and so on. So it depends on different projects. And some projects, there are site engineers who capture the progress and update back to the common data environment platforms like BIM 360 and so on. And these are the different ways we use it.
Another question by Soumya Srinivasan. How is the customization taken care in the core model? Like housing projects, villas, each unit has different specifications from the client. How is it taken care?
Well, it all depends on how you plan a project BIM execution plan, how you develop, how you coordinate with your design and construction team. I think it's taken care to some level possible as required now. But maybe once the client demand becomes higher, then need to be worked out based on that. Because the question is a little bit for me. The question seems to be a little bit vague. I don't know how to answer.
Okay. This is another question from a student, I believe. Any course you would suggest for the engineers at present to keep updated?
Okay. So when it comes to BIM, before going for the course, one most important thing you need to know is there are three kind of categories of jobs in the market BIM industry. One is technical jobs. This is for people who know the software to work on. There are 25, 30 softwares or 200, 300 softwares. Someone is workable on one or two software hands-on. That's more called like a technical job. So he will be day in, day out working on that software to develop the model, mature the model. And that is a technical job where the number of suppliers become more than the demand. Means if I want one person, there are 100 people available. So that competition is very high. So experience will be kind of required. The second job role is managerial roles, where you may be working as a design manager, construction manager, project manager, facility manager. This is where you manage the people who are managing the softwares. Okay. So for this, you need to have some years of experience to work on that. The next is strategic jobs. And this is more of a leadership level or supporting organizations for the digital transformation. Now, if you say a client is mandating BIM for their projects, then many companies also want to go through the transformation. If not, they will be left out. So that is more on a strategic level jobs, where a person who understands the current trends and able to guide the company in terms of strategy formulations, technology procurement, equipment procurement, team planning, and roadmap development, aligning the teams and the work of the company along with their progress management. This is more on a strategic level. So trainings also comes into these three directions. What's happening is many people focus on a software and they're pitching into that, and they'll later come and say, I have practiced this software, but they don't have jobs. So it's very much important you to understand supply and demand concept. When there is a supply is high and demand is low, that means opportunities are very competitive. And when there is a demand is high and supply is less, for technical jobs, supply is more and demand is less. And for managerial, it's almost equal. For strategic jobs, demand is high, but supply is very low. And people are ready to pay good salaries, but there are no people available with that capabilities. So because most of the companies want to transform, they want people who can give a guidance at that higher level, but not many people available with that capabilities. So education on that level will be helpful for strategic level jobs, education. I don't want to mention platforms here since it's a neutral. So I would, if you want to connect with me, I can give you some details, some of the programs available.
Okay.
As a shape, number, everything is available. Welcome.
Okay. Other thing is that you have already mentioned that there is a BIM association itself.
Yeah.
Many of them have to be a part of it and try to get themselves updated. That is very interesting that an association also has been formed.
Correct. I mean, they can network with almost 60 country people through this association.
I think it's a global association, is it?
No, it's the India association where we are connected with these different countries.
That's very interesting. I think students can get a lot of input from the association by being a member as well as organizations, as you said. I think it's going to be the in thing during the next coming years because because of the digital transformation. I'm sure that BIM will play a vital role.
Correct. I mean,
One very important thing you talked about is which I liked was the collaboration kind of thing. Where you actually need to collaborate the different functions of the construction project itself, which is very interesting. And one cannot blame the other, rather than one need to focus on the deliverables. I think that's something very interesting.
This is most important for better trust and sharing. Until you share things, and people cannot collaborate. And maybe people are located in different regions, but working on the same agenda on the project. But if they are not even collaborating, then it's how do you get the right data?
Very true. Another very interesting question is, does this technology have any limitations on any building analysis software which cannot be integrated in BIM model?
Well, this is again a good question. It all depends on what are the software packages you're using for a particular project. But as you know, if there is a tech vendor 1 and 2 and 3, obviously they want to make sure that you go with all their softwares rather than looking for other software. So use something for modeling, they want to make sure that you stay with the same tech vendor for another software for analysis of plan. This is always there, but there is a platform called IFC Building Smart, which is a neutral platform to make these tech vendors work on its common lines. They make it as IFC versions, but still it's a eyewash. Still things are not up to the line. So it all depends on what kind of project, what technologies you select. Technology selection is also a strategy. You cannot just procure something and then implement something.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amarnath. That was very interesting, and you also took the questions and very interactive session also. And ACCEI Mysore Center has been, as always, has been able to organize this kind of seminars wherein the latest updates are being given to the construction professionals. So over to Dr. Manjunath for giving the formal vote of thanks. Dr. Prakash, Engineer Prakash, Dr. Manjunath is not there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello.
Over to you, sir, for a vote of thanks.
ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ನೋಡಿ unquote opportunities multiply when they are seized and die when they are neglected. Today all of us witnessed a successful knowledge sharing event on BIM, a hand holding program which is required for the successful completion of any project across the globe. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the National Workshop on BIM as a part of Engineers Day celebration 2020, jointly organized by ACCEI Mysore Center and the Ramco Cements Limited, supported by L&T Construction and BIM Association. I would like to thank on behalf of ACCEI Mysore Center and Ramco Cements Limited, Dr.Amarnath CB, President India BIM Association, Head-BIM Strategy, L&T Construction for delivering the inspirational talk on BIM. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and for sharing your knowledge with all of us. On behalf of the organizers, I sincerely thank Niranjan Simha, Associate Vice President, L&T, instrumental in organizing this big event. Thank you, sir. To place on records, sincere thanks to Engineer S. Prakash, and Engineer Ram Prasad, Honorary Secretary, valuable guidance in organizing the event. Thank you, sir. To the Ramco Cements Limited, particular Engineer Anil Kumar Pillai, General Manager Technical Services, for their continual and motivational support in organizing this event from last 6 years. Thank you, sir. We wish to place on record our heartfelt thanks to L&T Constructions and BIM Association for their invaluable technical managerial support in organizing this event. I thank all the participants, ACCI members, ACCM members, BI members, BIM members, students, and others present in this webinar who made the function a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Manjunath. Thank you very much, and Dr. Amarnath, thank you, and it's good to have you.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely meet sometime in Mysore or in Chennai soon.
Sure,
And
sure.
Anil, as usual, pleasure to have you. So we'll meet up soon.
We'll catch up.
Thanks to Ramco management.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you, ACCEI Mysore Center and Dr. Amarnath. So we sign off from the event.
Yeah, thank you. Nice evening.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So watching even the one of us logged in. So it's on the big screen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you then. Bye.
Bye.